Welcome to the Elevated Marketing podcast show that is designed for business owners and marketers who are tired of overhyped advice. We talk through what we're testing, we challenge assumptions, and we share what's really happening in the world of marketing, which is messy, creative, and always evolving. Welcome to the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Elevated Marketing podcast. And I'm Jennifer Denny, if you are new to the show. And today we are going to talk about social media metrics. Metrics are always one of my favorite topics. I love when we can talk about what we can track, what we can't track. Not that I really like to focus on what we can't track, because there's always something that you can track. But I want to talk about organic social media metrics from the standpoint of, if you are either the business owner, you have a marketer reporting to you, or you are the marketer, like tying that back to the overall business objectives, because that is our job as marketers. So before we get started there, I know, this podcast we've been doing for over 5 years, and, we are in the top 100 marketer podcasts, to listen to. But I do want to mention our new podcast. This is more of a local podcast. So it is called Southside Voices. And Southside Voices is all about the southern portion of Indianapolis and, the businesses down there, and really making sure that we tell the story about there. So you can go to southsidevoices.com, or you can go find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and see what the latest show is. I'm really proud of that show. So we're actually going out in the field, getting out of the office and talking there in person with actual business owners and their stories. So good stuff. I love supporting the community, and especially the business community, because I'm involved in that as well. Okay, so speaking of business, let's talk about social media metrics that impact your business. And first of all, I will tell you, I'm not going to go through this whole post that I wrote. I think it's close to 5,000 words, which is a lot, and I understand that. But I wanted to give metrics and what they mean and the business aspect to it. And so you'll have to go to the actual post to get all those specifics. I know I'm being a marketer right now. I didn't mean to, but I did write a really long post, and I can't do that in 15 minutes. So if you're the executive, a lot of times, you want to try to any marketing channel, you're trying to tie it exactly to, is this driving business growth? Is it driving conversions, what we used to call them, key events, maybe looking in Google Analytics, like, is this actually working? And I think, we get stuck on that, and we tend to forget that organic social media is really like showing up to a networking event and shaking hands. And sure, you might collect certain business contacts, and you might get certain business cards and interact with certain people. But most of the time when you walk away, people aren't buying right then and there, and social media works the same way. So when we're looking at these metrics, they are constantly changing. And that is something that marketers who are performing the actions of organic social media do have to look at. And from a business perspective, sometimes year over year doesn't look the same. Sometimes month over month doesn't look the same. And there's a lot of nuances. And one platform might call it this, and another platform might call it that, and they both might not have the same. And you're probably already like, okay, this is a lot. Well, it can be. So there are metrics that you should pay attention to by channel. And in this blog post, I have, broken those down and try to pull it back to three main areas, which is distribution. Are you earning enough exposure for your business, and are you getting in front of the right people? And then interaction, are people interacting with those posts that you want to? And then intent, like what is the intent metrics that somebody does in fact want to do business with you? And of course we got to keep social. So uh, it can't all be about the sale, because if you were that same way at a networking event, you probably get the I don't really want to talk to that person, because they're all about what they want instead of what somebody else wants. So that's a whole nother post that we've talked about, like how to get that engagement on social media. So I did focus on Meta, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Yes, there are definitely other platforms: TikTok, Reddit, X, Threads, Pinterest. They do matter, but we focus on this because we mostly focus on service-based businesses, and these are really and event type businesses and healthcare, and these places organically are consistently like what builds the credibility layers for those type businesses. So that's why we really focused in on those. So given all of that in mind, let's just maybe handpick like a couple of these to kind of like talk through so you can get an idea of what this post is about. So I'm just going to start with Meta, Facebook, and Instagram. And one metric that I like is reach. You know, the funnel signal is distribution. So it's like a quality check in. Fewer unique people saw you. Viewers can look, while reach falls because you're getting repeated consumption from a smaller pool. So you really want your reach to continually grow. You want to know that you're expanding awareness and you're not just talking like to the same people. Reach is really a proxy for future pipeline. If your unique exposure shrinks, you feel busy on social media, but you're not really growing, headroom with more people. Um, if reach grows, but only engagement comes from the same familiar people, though, so this is kind of a sanity check. You're not building the kind of awareness that turns into actual future demand. You want to, see at least some signals that suggest relevance outside your inner circle. So what to do with that one is, shift from updates to, standalone values. So assume a non-follower is seeing posts for the first time. So some of your posts, and I'm always a big fan of this, should add context inside the post. So rotate topics so the algorithm has more doors to walk through and your audience has reasons to share. So tips, FYIs, frequently asked questions. Those are all boring ways to kind of say those things, but they're facts though. On that, I think that really educates people on what you do and how you help them. So I think that those are great things to look at. Another one with Facebook, Instagram, I just want to kind of put in there is interactions. So there are lots of different interactions, and I have them, in there and talking about all those. But one I think really gets misunderstood is one that is not as forward facing. So you don't see if somebody actually interacts with a post, like stop scrolling and takes a look at it. So that is one that you won't necessarily see, but it actually does affect a lot of other metrics. It's going to affect your reach. They want to see that people are engaging with your content. There's only so much space on a social media feed. And so if people are engaging with your content, then they're going to keep increasing your reach. And, as you'll kind of see in the blog posts, some of these like, well, if this, then that, like scenario. Like, I don't think I have all those exact like if this then that scenarios, but you'll see how they kind of can tie together if you stick with a 5,000 word blog post. So I've got YouTube on here. I think that YouTube is good. You definitely want to look at watch time or average view durations. You know, this is where YouTube is brutally honest. If people are not staying, you're not building trust. And if you're not building trust, you're not creating preference. And so that's a metric you want to look at. When it comes to LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. It's typically a business platform, a B2B, but that doesn't mean you have to always look at that. When engagement rate dips over here, your content is being seen, but it's not earning the second step. And LinkedIn defines engagement rate as interactions per impressions, and interactions include clicks, reactions, comments, and shares. And then they kind of have that hidden like feed too, where people are stopping and taking a look at it, and it's not forward facing where we itself get to see that. So, that's just, I always want to bring up those hidden ones where people are like, oh, I didn't think about that. So, okay. I know you guys know me, or at least if you haven't watched the show, that I could sit here and go through each individual metric on a meeting like this or a show. But I think it's really important for you to go read the blog posts, look at the ones that tie, to you specifically. And if you need help, I mean, we're certainly here. There are questions that are being asked of you as the marketer, being asked of you as the C-suite, and even questions that you're asking at if you are like the highest level, like proving the ROI of organic social media. And in this blog post, I went through and tied that to like business objectives that will matter and how it helps your larger funnel. I would say too that you have to have time to look at like all of these metrics. And so you shouldn't be focusing on all these metrics all the time. Execution is very important, but making sure that you are executing on the right things and making sure that you have the bandwidth, to actually get through all of this. So I hope today was informative, gives you some ideas of where to go. If you enjoyed today's show and you're listening on any of the podcast channels, I certainly like a rating or review, but only if I earned it. And if you're on YouTube, you can, hit subscribe or follow me on LinkedIn as well. I'm all over the place, of course, always talking about marketing. So that's it for today. Everyone take care and bye for now.